How would you assess the state of the offense at this point in the season?
Still a work in progress. I mean, we're just trying to build to just consistency. Because there's been times where it's been really good, and there's been times where we just need improvement across the board. Coaches, players, everybody, every position group's had their hand in it. But when it's going, it's going. And we know we got the right guys that are made of the right stuff, and just continuing to build this continuity that it looks like we're getting close to that. Will be key and critical for this last stretch.
Do you feel are looking forward to having Puka for the whole game this week?
That's the plan, So I love Puka, and obviously he's got a target on his back because, and that's the truth in terms of when you put on the tape that you do in terms of your physicality and the caliber player he is. Like, that's a sign of respect that people are going to kind of go after him, chirp at him, and all that. And it's a good lesson for him, and he won't make that mistake.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because sometimes you see teams try to strategize, maybe incite emotions in different ways because they've seen a player react in that way. So what was the conversation like with Puka about saying, hey, people see that, you've done that, this happened now, so how do you guys avoid maybe that happening?
Yeah, he's smart. He doesn't even need a conversation outside of, you good, and he's good. So again, it won't happen. It's a sign of respect from players around this league. When people are chirping at people, it's usually because they respect the heck out of them. So he'll be good.
And what was it like having Steve and Jonah back yesterday, and what kind of energy do they bring to that group?
Yeah, again, as I always say, it seems like it's a weekly deal. We get new guys back, and happy for them to be back on the field. We'll see what happens on Monday and moving forward from that, but just happy that they're able to just put on a helmet and go.
We've seen Stetson do some little things like throwing to Cooper before a game or throwing for Puka in practice. How have you seen him embrace those things?
Yeah, he's just embraced his role right now and his ability to just improve every single day. I think Dave Ragone has done such a tremendous job with him, both mentally and physically, and just understanding where he's at in his career. The future is bright for him, if he continues to work at the level he is, So real excited about where he's at. I know he's in a good spot, and again, I give a lot of credit to Dave on that too, on top of obviously Stetson. Yeah, he's a stud. Nothing's changed. I mean, I hated playing him when he was a Ram in 19 and 20 when I was, up north, and it's been a while since I've had to play him, but he's a stud, and a lot of respect for his game, and nothing's really changed with him. He goes at it.
Is Stafford 6 touchdown passes in the last 2 games? Is he playing better than he was earlier in the season, or is that just opportunity?
Yeah,
How would you explain?
Yeah, he's scoring touchdowns, throwing touchdowns, running. I mean, it's all 11. There's so many variables to it, and so he's had a few more opportunities. We've been down in the red zone quite a bit, and for a variety of reasons. Particularly early, didn't put it in as much, and so your touchdowns are going to be a little bit lower. But he's playing good ball. He's a stud. He's excited for this Monday and this back half of the year, and wouldn't want anyone else but him.
How would you assess the Miami defense? Obviously, it hasn't been the greatest in the last couple of weeks, but now they get Zach back, which should help the defense. So
Sure.
how would you assess their defense?
Yeah, I know they play really hard, and I love their scheme. I have a lot of respect for Anthony Weaver. Had a chance to work with him in 14. Got to know him as a human more so than anything, and he's a stud of a person. And you can see that these guys take the personality of him. I mean, they play hard. They play with a confidence. I'm sure they're not happy about the last 2 weeks in terms of the points, but it hasn't changed in ways. In terms of how hard they play. They're flying around on that field in Buffalo, and we expect the same hard challenge for us on Monday.
Mike, Jonah said that if there was going to be somebody to be kind of stuck in the rehab room with, he was glad, unfortunate circumstance, he was glad if he had to be stuck with someone, it was Steve, just because his personality.
Sure.
How have you gotten to know Steve over the last 2 years? How would you describe him if, like, a stranger asked you to describe him?
Yeah, don't mistake his kindness for weakness. He's a very, very just good person, nice dude. got a 9 and 6-year-old at home, I'd have no problem him babysitting. I don't know if he'd want to, but that's the kind of guy he is, for real. But then when he puts on the helmet, it's go time, and he has a joy for life and football, but he also works. And again, we'll see, what's in store for him for the next few weeks or whatnot. But I'm happy for him that he's back out there doing the thing he loves.
And then kind of a follow-up to that, but it pertains to a couple of other guys that you've been around the last 2 years, and then Jared and Braden coming in this year. When you are watching somebody right on the verge, right before they become a name or like a star in this league, how do you watch players develop? What is important for them to know before they hit that status that other guys in this building kind of are on right now?
Yeah, that's a tricky question. I mean, each guy is of their own, right? And you just try to be within your own personality and have humility about this game, because this game will humble you, So I don't know if there's a direct answer to that, except just keep being who you are and keep working. And, through the ups and downs, this is a long year, starting back all the way to OTAs, to a little bit of break, then summer, and then, however long our season is. It feels like it's 9 months now, in a good way, because it's a fun game. But, they got to stay, where their feet are day in and day out, keep working and keep being who they are as a person, and usually good things happen.
Couple more.
Good. Thanks, guys.
Mike.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Without giving away game planning, what is Mike Hoyt's job in your defense?
He obviously, he's the leader of that room. He obviously plays outside backer, and then he's a guy that has a lot of value to us, because he can obviously do some different things, and it's physically and mentally. So he's a guy that can handle it, and we always talk about putting our players in the best positions and what they can handle, and he's shown and proven that he can handle it mentally, not alone, but he's also a very talented rusher, so we want to utilize his skill sets, and that could change any week, so that's what we try to do.
You see a couple other defenses that aren't necessarily like what we would consider like from this coaching tree, and the one that you're included in, use players like him, but this seems like a individualistic sort of stamp that you're able to put on this defense in partnership with him. How do you create a role for a player like that, even though it's not been done a lot in this building?
Yeah, I mean, necessity is the mother of invention. So you're just trying to find different ways to get your best players on the field. And we always talk about, how do you get your best 11 on the field? And it goes against, depending on what the offense presents you too. So, depending on the week, you're always trying to get your best 11 on the grass, and however we can do that. And we definitely think Hoyt is one of those guys.
We've seen the effect of Jared and the pressure he's generated, especially against the one-on-one matchups that he's gotten with other opportunities for other guys, and now that's starting to show up for Braden Fisk as well. Just Braden specifically, where do you feel like he's made the most strides?
Who's that, Verse or Fisk?
Fisk.
He's been, he's really been, when you really look back at it, he's been creating a lot of pressure from the start. I think some of it has been we haven't been necessarily in those passing situations where he's been able to utilize his skill sets. As soon as we've been able to get that, he's really shown up, and he's done an excellent job. And, he's just continuing to grow, get more and more comfortable, and, having Verse outside him definitely helps.
In the game, Sean said he never got the sense from the defense that they were annoyed at what the offense is doing, and he said they had every right to be. How have you seen this young group kind of embody that?
Yeah, just what you said. They're just steady, and we just want to go out, and every single time it's on us to get a stop, no matter where we go out there on the field. And you're always, we know the offense is going to take off, and we know where he's going to have their back, just like when they're going to have ours. Minnesota, we start the game, go right up and down the field, and us 2 touchdown drives, and the offense just answers and keeps us in the game. So, that's what we are. We're a team, and no matter what happens, we expect to go out there and try and get stops to the best of our ability.
Is that pretty common, or is that something that is unique to how this group is?
Every team's different, but I'd like to think, over the years here with some of the guys we've had, Leonard Floyd, AD, some of those guys, they've had a pretty good demeanor on the sidelines as far as, you take it as a challenge. Any type of sudden change situation or any situation that you go out, you take as a challenge to try and turn the momentum around.
More space, let's get a couple more big plays the last couple of weeks. What, on the practice field, off the field, makes you confident that when he's presented with those opportunities that it's going to be much more big?
Yeah, just his demeanor overall, Wyatt. He's a pro's pro. I mean, he was in, we saw him, he was in G Money's office till, our linebackers coach G Money, who does a great job. He's really gotten him ready to go. He was at his office last night at like 8:30, and So he's a guy, every single detail matters to him, and really since the day he's been here. And now he's just getting the opportunity. Obviously he wasn't really playing before, and now he's just kind of continuing to increase his role.
If you look at this Miami offense, what specifically the running game as well as we'll talk about those sides, what are some of the challenges that you see with that offense that they continue to move forward ahead against the Dolphins?
Yeah, it's an extremely tough offense to defend, as you could, as really anyone could see over the NFL. First time coaching against them since Mike's been there as coach. And yeah, it's the speed, it's the physicality they play with. The O-line runs off the ball, and and it's a running offense. They want to establish a run. Obviously, we know that's his background, and they do a great job utilizing their personnel with their fullbacks and their tight ends. And obviously, they have elite speed at elite talent, elite speed, elite players, really at every skill position.
In playing an offense that can manipulate the combination of timing and speed the way that they do, speaking specifically of your back seven or eight, depending, how can you control the space on the field that they're trying to, nullify and create?
Yeah, great effort. That's the biggest thing, is great effort, great pursuit to the ball. Any one-on-one tackle in space against really any of those guys is going to be extremely tough for anybody in the NFL, and because they have elite players. And so it's just playing with elite effort, elite pursuit, taking great angles to the ball, and just continue to work. It always goes back to the fundamentals, and that's what we're continuing to preach.
And then a couple of guys were talking about how Seattle's tempo, figuring it out early on, some of the false starts, things like that. What's the emphasis on that this week? Understanding that's something that's on tape now.
Definitely, yeah. Obviously, hopefully he can't hard count us. Hopefully he's got to do it out of the silence. So hopefully SoFi's rocking and it's loud, and he's got to be in the silent in the gun. But that was obviously an issue. I think I kind of said it's like, hey, we haven't really jumped off sides too much before, and next thing you know, 5 times later, I don't know if I've ever experienced anything like that. But you got guys like Kobe Turner, Brandon Fisk, Jared Verse. You expect those guys and hold them accountable to get it corrected, and they want to be held accountable, and they expect that. How hard they play. They played with a swagger. I realized why they were so mad that they got shut out of the playoffs. I didn't really see them on TV much during the year. And then when you see that defense, and there was, your eyes just go to those two guys. They have, the cornerback, they have, a couple other guys that, obviously we eval'd, and your eyes just go to those two guys as you're watching the tape. You almost can't stop watching them. So I think I watched every single game they played, and they were fun to watch, and just how hard they played, especially that ACC title game versus Louisville. They had their, whatever it was, backup or third-string quarterback. It felt like those two really put the team on their backs and willed them to a championship, so it was awesome to watch.
What are your memories of being on the defensive staff when Jalen was playing here? And do you think there's still a thread of his influence a couple seasons later with you guys?
Yeah, well, we got, D. Will. I know he's close to them back, and all those guys. Trying to think, obviously JJ was here, played with them. But no, I was, I was here for the whole circle with Jalen. Love Jalen as a player, love Jalen as a person. I remember in 2018 we traded for him midweek, and we were playing the Falcons, and he walked in the building and he said, I got Julio. And we were like, oh, all right, we got a good one, And we kind of just called it, we played a couple simple coverages, just threw him out there. He came in on Wednesday and Thursday that week and went out and covered and played well. And then I was here, obviously, when we started with Coach Staley, and we started moving him around, started playing him at nickel, started blitzing him stuff, and seems like that's what the Dolphins are doing with him. So he's just an unbelievable player. He's really a complete player, complete DB. Don't like to call him a corner because he's a complete DB, elite cover player, and whether it's taking on blocks, tackling, he can do it all.
Chris, a couple more. I know you've got so much to do during a game, obviously, but kind of when you guys go back and watch cut-ups, or when Dan does sideline stuff, makes sideline videos, reactions, stuff like that, what do you notice about the energy that Gift Smith has and how he interacts with players?
Yeah, he's been doing that in OTAs and camp, so you just love it. He's one of those guys, he connects with all the players. He talks to, all the offensive guys, and he's just a great person, great personality. It was my second year in the NFL. I was the QC with the Chargers, and he was the defensive line coach. And they didn't have an assistant D-line, so I was always kind of in that position room, and so I was kind of his defensive line assistant. And he really opened my eyes to D-line play and pass rush and taught me everything I know. A lot of that same language in the system is the stuff that we, me and Henny used, and then obviously we continue to use bringing Gift back here. So he's just an awesome guy to have around. Obviously a great coach, but an even better person.
In the beginning of the year, when there was some issues with, kind of gap accountability, things like that in
Sure.
the run game, noticed guys, he set up trash cans, overturned them, and kind of made things look very visual for learning, but also very simple. Is there something to that with a young group of being able to create like tangible reps like that?
Yeah, definitely. Whenever that time was, and that it was week 2 or 3, we said we were having some issues with aligning and how we want to play certain things, and we said, well, we need to change our approach too, and that's what we did. Whether it's the way we walk through, whether it's the way we met, whether it's meet less, come out and walk through a little bit more, and or whether it's within the scheme of the defense, within the calls, just trying to help those guys, put them in the best position, because that's what it's all about. And GIF and also AC did an excellent job with that.
Chris, last one, we asked you a lot about Verse and Fisk and Kobe, but Bobby Brown stepped up in a big play there on 4th down. Just what's your kind of assessment of where he started, where he is?
Yeah, he's just been on the ascent. He had I thought he played his best game for Seattle. I thought he was really effective in some aspects versus Minnesota as well. And he's doing everything that we're asking him to do. He's playing really stout in the run game, and he's giving us everything he has. So we're really happy with how he's playing.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, guys.